Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary McGuire, Director of Public and Government Affairs at AAA Northeast. Welcome to our annual Slow Down, Move Over press event and to our friends and partners in transportation, law enforcement, and traffic safety as we look to raise awareness of the law passed to protect first responders in every state in Washington, D.C. The law is simple. When you see red, yellow, or blue lights flashing at the roadside, slow down and move over to the next adjacent lane if it's safe to do so. I'd like to invite members of the press who are joining us this morning to type their questions into the chat during this event, and we will take those questions at the close. I'll open with the words of Ken Young, a AAA tow truck driver who was seriously injured at the side of the road several years ago. Ken says, and I quote, "Treat everyone like they were your family so no one gets hurt. Keep your eyes open. If you don't move over, you could hurt someone. Put the cell phone down. It's the law. A text can wait. It's simple. Have some compassion. We put our lives on the line every day to help other people. This is our office. We don't have four walls and a roof to protect us." And I think that really sums the issue up beautifully, coming from someone who has been there in the trenches. A leader who cares very deeply about the safety of tow truck drivers like Ken Young and all first responders is John Galvin, President and CEO of AAA Northeast. John joins us now to discuss the importance of the Slow Down, Move Over law. John?
Thanks, Mary. I really appreciate it, and good morning, everyone. Since 2007, AAA has been instrumental in passing move over laws in all states, including advocating for those laws that cover tow providers and other emergency responders. Additionally, AAA clubs have participated in educational and advocacy initiatives, creating public service announcements, and reaching out to state officials. But there is more work to be done. AAA is committed to raising awareness of move over laws and the dangers associated with working at the side of the road. Our AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety recently did a study and found that despite the fact that we have slow down, move over laws in all 50 states and in the District of Columbia, almost a quarter of all drivers are not aware of this critically important law. Our study also found that 42% of drivers who don't comply with the law said that their behavior was either somewhat dangerous or not dangerous at all. So far this year, we've lost 14 tow truck drivers across the country, and on average, 24 first responders die each year based on roadside accidents. And it's not only roadside responders who are at risk. Since 2015, almost 1,600 people have been struck and killed standing alongside of disabled vehicles on the roadside. Our goal is to do everything we can to help prevent these tragedies by raising awareness of the Slow Down, Move Over law. And it's one of the most important missions here at AAA Northeast. We thank all of you for being here today to help focus attention on the fact that when you see red, yellow, or blue lights at the roadside, it's time to slow down and move over. Let's help protect those who work so hard protecting all of us. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, John, and thanks for those important statistics, really important to share, I think. With us now to speak is MassDOT Secretary and CEO, Jamie Tesler. Secretary Tesler took the helm at MassDOT in July of this year and was previously Registrar of Motor Vehicles. Welcome, Transportation Secretary Tesler.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, John, and thank you, everybody, for being here today and the ability to join and talk about these important issues. It's a pleasure, really, to take part in this important event, to highlight the importance of roadway safety, and to encourage drivers to slow down and move over. I want to thank John and Mary McGuire and AAA Northeast for hosting this event and their continued educational advocacy and efforts surrounding safe driving. The Baker-Polito administration is pleased to continue to partner and to work collaboratively with key stakeholders such as law enforcement, the state police, and AAA, and our whole team at MassDOT on the registry and the highway team throughout to call attention to the importance of roadway safety on all roadways and streets throughout the Commonwealth. As we continue to come out of the pandemic, many individuals are now driving more, and we do see in some cases traffic volumes on our major roads beginning to reflect this trend. Traffic volume at times is increasing, and in some cases, but not in all, returning to pre-pandemic levels. In some cases, people are having to relearn how to drive and adhere to the rules of the road. We are also seeing a considerable and an important increase in outdoor activities such as walking and biking. The culmination of these events exemplifies the importance of traveling at safe and reduced speeds and paying attention at all times while driving. It's important to remind individuals to share the road, be cognizant and focus on the road ahead, reduce speed and drive hands-free. Do not use your cell phone or other electronic devices. Put the phone down. There are more people in our streets. There are more bikers and there are more walkers. We all need to be mindful and ensure that as motorists, we are safe and acutely aware of our surroundings, including the pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists, and individuals who may be working on the roadways at all times. Distracted driving continues to be an issue on our roadways. To date, the RMV has reported over 71,000 motor vehicle citations, which includes 53,226 warnings for distracted driving since the Baker-Polito administration's hands-free law took effect in February 2020. These totals include violations for improper use of mobile devices and mobile use by individuals under the age of 18. I also want to note that the Federal National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has declared next week to be National Teen Safety Week. And I think this is a great opportunity to promote and reinforce with all of our teens roadway safety. The RMV remains committed to ensuring that drivers, our new drivers especially, have resources and tools available to begin the critical process of learning how to drive safely and responsibly. A new online portal has been built for first-time drivers. So please go to mass.gov at RMV and engage with the site, both as parents and as new drivers. It provides easy access to a variety of educational resources and materials and helps serve as a guide for our first-time drivers and for us as parents and guardians of junior operators. Also available is information on the Parent Supervised Driving Program, safe driving tips, and links to educational YouTube videos. There are also links to helpful practice exams for the learner's permit test, and videos to become familiar with maneuvers that are evaluated during road tests. One of the things when we made the learner's permit test online as a adjustment during the pandemic is we heard from a lot of parents and kids that they wanted to take practice exams and they wanted videos that would help. And so we continue to add this content to make sure that our teens and our new drivers are equipped with all the materials they can use to continue to learn, because the most important thing is to learn. I want to thank everyone here for their continued focus and their dedicated efforts to promote roadway safety. And again, I want to encourage everybody to slow down, pay attention, and not become distracted while driving to help prevent crashes and to save lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thanks so much for sharing those resources. I think they're really helpful to people, and also appreciate you talking about the fact that cyclists and pedestrians are very much at risk, especially with increased speeding. Few people know the roads of the Commonwealth better than State Highway Administrator Jonathan Gulliver. Jonathan has served in the position since 2017, has worked with MassDOT since 2009, and during the pandemic has spoken out about the dramatic rise in speeding on our Massachusetts roadways. Administrator, thanks for being here.
All right, thank you, Mary, for the introduction, and thank you for you and John for hosting this important event today. As traffic returns in many areas, in some cases, as the Secretary noted, to pre-pandemic levels, some places even more, the patterns have changed and they include a lot more midday trips. And unfortunately, they also include some driver behavior that we would really like to reverse. It's something that started during the pandemic and unfortunately has continued. And those two things are increased speeding and distracted driving. So it's a problem. We really want to make sure that that people pay attention when they're on the road. When they do see something that they need to slow down and move over for, that they do so. All of this, again, we really want to make sure people are safe. And I want to highlight this behavior through work zones as we are doing our final push for the 2021 construction season, where a lot of paving and line striping activity and construction will be occurring. And of course, I would really encourage everyone to observe posted speed limits and put your phones down. But I do want to focus on some new laws that recently passed by the legislature and signed by the governor to make our roadways safer. First off, the new driver removal law passed in 2021 requires motorists to move their vehicles to a safe location in the event of a minor incident if they can do so safely. The goal of this is to create additional, to avoid creating additional congestion and the potential for secondary incidents on active roadways. And it also enables first responders to assist you in a very safe way. Another new law is the Hold Harmless Law, or the Authority Removal Law. That provides authorization for designated public agencies, police, fire, DOT, and others to help remove damaged vehicles or spilled cargo from the roadway that is determined to be a hazard. And this focus of the law is to really provide all of those first responders and tow recovery operations to allow them to take this, to do this work without taking additional unnecessary liability from them. And then finally, there's the new law that allows us to adjust speed limits during inside those work zones. That's a really important element. Allows us to make sure that people are paying attention as they travel through them and keep everybody in those work zones safe. The move over law applies to more than just police and fire, and it also includes those DOT and DPW workers that are addressing a hazard and maintaining a piece of equipment or cleaning a catch basin, and they are also at risk, and they are also covered by the move over law. So they should receive the same support that police and first responders do. And finally, tow truck drivers are perhaps at greatest risk out there on the roadway. They're working hard every day to safely remove vehicles that are disabled or involved in a crash. So again, if you do have an opportunity to move over in a vehicle that has a minor incident, you should do so they can do their job easier. And if you're somebody who is driving down the road, and really we are asking that you maintain your vigilance while you're driving, don't drive distracted, reduce your speed, and watch for these incidents, watch for crashes, watch for roadway workers, and when you do see them, slow down and move over. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Jonathan, and so glad you mentioned those new laws because hopefully they will all improve safety and ease congestion, things that are important to all of us. Massachusetts state police officers and municipal officers put their lives on the line at the roadside every single day, and 2 officers were recently struck in the line of duty. We are joined now by State Police Major Michael Michno, a 28-year veteran and commanding officer of Troop D, which patrols southeastern Mass, the Cape, and the Islands. Welcome, Major Michno.
Good morning. On behalf of Colonel Chris Mason, who regrets that he could not be here with us today, I'd like to thank AAA for inviting the Massachusetts State Police to take part in this virtual press conference. The pandemic months saw a well-documented shift in driving behaviors as much lower traffic volume gave drivers who are inclined to speed long stretches of open roads that took advantage of engaging in some very dangerous behaviors. We are seeing speeds of 90 plus, 100 plus about every day. Now, as everyone who commutes by car every day can attest, we are, for all intents and purposes, back to pre-pandemic traffic volume. There is less open space for speeders to accelerate, but the problem of drivers failing to move over is a persistent threat. Emergency vehicles, tow trucks, and road construction crews continue to be put in danger by motorists who fail to move over. Our troopers are always alert for drivers who don't move over or at least slow down when passing an emergency vehicle. In 2018, we wrote 224 citations for drivers who failed to move over. In 2019, we wrote 208 citations, and in 2020, the numbers fell because of the drastic decrease in traffic volume. But by the end of the year, we expect the totals to be back up what they were prior to the pandemic. One of the main things was when drivers are pulled over for this, they state that they're unaware of the law, even though there is aggressive media campaigns out there to alert the people to it. But that's their main excuse, is that they weren't aware of the law. They might not seem like huge totals, but the threat posed by each driver who fails to move over is very significant. The side of the highway is a very dangerous place to be. The state police knows this on a personal level. Tonight, Colonel Mason is in Washington, D.C. The name of Massachusetts State Trooper Thomas Devlin will be added to the National Law Enforcement Memorial, which honors police officers from across our nation who died in the line of duty. On On the afternoon of July 26, 2018, Trooper Devlin, while on patrol out of the Concord Barracks, conducted a motor vehicle stop on Route 3 in Billerica. While outside of his cruiser, he was struck by another motorist and suffered severe injuries. The driver of the vehicle that struck him was charged with negligent operation of a motor vehicle, marked lanes violation, and failure to move over for emergency vehicle. In September 2020, after a courageous battle that lasted more than 2 years, Trooper Devlin succumbed to his injuries, leaving behind his wife and 4 children. Every day we roll out onto the highways of Massachusetts to protect the motoring public. The memory of Trooper Devlin, his dedication to duty, and his full measure of sacrifice inspires us. And it's not only the troopers and the local police officers out there. You know, AAA has numerous roadside assistant programs out there. Their tow trucks are always out on the side of the road. MassDOT's always working in the construction crews. So, you know, we got to get people moved over. And down in Troop D, I formed a 4-man traffic enforcement team that started last week, and within just 1 week, they've already written over 500 civil citations for speeding and move over and handheld device citations. That's within 1 week. So, you know, that's about it. Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you so much, Major, and so glad that Trooper Devlin and his family are being honored in the vigil tonight. I think that's tremendous. So thank you so much for honoring his name this morning. We appreciate it. Jeff Larsen is Director of Highway Safety for the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, Office of Grants and Research, a post he has held since 2016. Jeff has devoted his career to traffic reporting and traffic safety. Thanks for being here today, Jeff.
Well, thanks, Mary. And I want to start off by thanking AAA for really taking the time to highlight what I think everyone here knows is a very important issue. And I want to thank EOP's Secretary Reedy as well for allowing me to represent the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, as well as the Office of Grants and Research. This is all very simple. If you see flashing lights up ahead down the road, you slow down and you move over. And if you can't move over, you slow down, you slow way down. The move over law requires the drivers approaching a stationary emergency or maintenance vehicle with flashing lights to move to the adjacent lane and to slow down, again, if it's safe to do so. Now in Massachusetts, the move over law makes police, firefighters, paramedics, tow truck drivers, and all the roadside emergency and maintenance professionals safer while they're on the job. The move over law took effect in 2009. That's well over a decade ago. But even as it's been around for this long, as has been mentioned, awareness of this law and compliance is both lagging. And it's critical that we continue to try to educate and inform drivers to remind them that it's not only the law, but it's safer for everyone, including the drivers. That's why events like this are so important. And every year, first responders across the country are injured or killed on the job while providing emergency help. The safest drivers are the ones who are the most aware of what's up ahead. Looking ahead, looking down the road and being aware of what's ahead allows you more time to recognize the vehicles that are stopped ahead, to see those flashing lights, and it allows you more time to safely change your lane. You can't look ahead if you have your phone in your hands and you're looking at that phone. We ask all drivers to focus their attention ahead, to slow down, and to move over to make roadways safer for everyone. Thanks to AAA again. This is a good event.
Thanks for the great advice, Jeff. Always appreciate that. Colleen Ogilvie is the Registrar of Motor Vehicles and took the helm at the registry this past summer. A 30-year veteran of the RMV, Colleen has led multiple teams through a variety of customer service and technology initiatives. Please say hello to Registrar Ogilvie.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, AAA and Mary, for this special event. It's never too late to improve your driving behaviors and be a role model for safe driving behavior for your family and friends. Speak up and help educate others about slowing down and moving over when approaching an emergency vehicle with its lights illuminated. There are move over laws in every single state. It is especially important for us to model safe driving behavior when we're with new teen drivers or new adult drivers. And you can't be ready to slow down or move over if you are not aware of what's ahead of you. Put down your electronic device. Many others have already said electronic device use continues to happen in vehicles in Massachusetts, but Massachusetts law prohibits operators of motor vehicles from using any electronic device, including mobile telephones, unless it's in hands-free mode. And if a teen is under 18, It is illegal for them to use any device, even hands-free. So we're asking, when you get behind the wheel, focus on driving. Your neighbors, friends, parents, brothers, sisters, daughters, sons, and grandchildren are depending on you. Help keep first responders, our motorists, pedestrians, bicyclists, our MassDOT highway and AAA safety teams safe. It is all of our responsibilities as licensed drivers and permitted drivers to use safe driving behaviors each time we get behind the wheel. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Registrar, so much. And finally, this morning, we hear from a traffic safety officer who has been in the trenches with the Arlington Police Department for more than 26 years and was a military police officer prior to that. Corey Ruto has done a great deal of community outreach on traffic safety issues. Please welcome Traffic Safety Officer Corey Ruto.
I would like to start by saying thank you to AAA Northeast and in particular you, Mary, for often affording me the opportunity to stand side by side with so many traffic safety professionals to address the public in these press conferences and other virtual and in-person meetings over the past several years. It's already been mentioned, the Move Over Law, Chapter 89, Section 7C, addresses the steps you must take to alter your driving behavior when approaching an emergency, maintenance, or recovery vehicle with flashing lights. Now, while these laws have come into existence because they've shown to improve the safety of officers and troopers, as well as highway worker and tow truck drivers, I want to take a few minutes that I have for this presentation to issue the challenge to all of you to take the same action anytime you see police officers or utility workers on the roadway. Like many local police officers, I don't have a take-home vehicle. I don't have flashing lights in my car. Most of the time, I'm out there, I'm standing in the middle of the road like a human cone with just a reflective vest and a, at nighttime, a flashlight. A lot of these times I'm working with local utility companies, so they may not necessarily fall under that definition of, a recovery vehicle or roadside emergency maintenance person. And a lot of times when I'm out in the roadway, these zones might not have flashing lights or anything for them. So we're basically standing out there, dangerously and at our risk to our own safety. Now, according to the data gathered by the National Law Enforcement Memorial for 2020, traffic incidents accounted for 16% of all law enforcement related fatalities, making it the third leading cause of death. And of those traffic related incidents, being struck by a car accounted for over a third of them. Now, over the years, I've had some close calls. I've been out there, I've flagged cars down that have approached my work zone too quickly, because basically, and I've said this before, one of my greatest fears with my job is not necessarily being hurt or killed by gun violence or something like that. It's often being struck by a car, by someone not paying attention. So in closing, I'm asking that all you motorists out there buckle up, which we talked about yesterday. Put down your mobile phones and slow down and move over anytime you see officers and workers on the roadway with or without flashlights, anytime you're behind the wheel. And if you're not behind the wheel and you're a passenger in a car and you see someone driving and approaching a situation like that and they're going too quickly, remind them to slow down and move over. On an aside note, a common behavior that I also see that I would hope that drivers will change is that when you look at some of these work zones, especially along the highways, there's a manual on uniform traffic control devices that tell you how you have to set up your work zone for safety. And some people may see the areas stretched out a little bit far before they get to the actual construction or work that's being done. But again, that's all about safety for those workers, the troopers, the officers on the side of the roadway, highways, things like that. It's not an opportunity to say that I'm going to speed up all the way down until I get to those cones and then jerk over and cut everyone off. That's to give you time to slow down as you approach that work zone. So that's another challenge I'm asking people to take on. Slow down right when you start seeing that the construction zone is starting to go, not to speed up and try and cut everyone else that's waiting in traffic like they're supposed to. And thank you for your time.
And thank you for that really important last point, Corey. I think that's something that we all see drivers doing often on the roadside. So thanks so much. And thank you to all of our speakers here today. Thank you for your service. I'll now open this event up to questions from the media. You can type your questions into the chat. And I'm not sure we have any questions at this point. So I will ask a follow-up question, and this is really directed to Mass State Police as well as Administrator Gulliver. I was really dismayed to hear you just say, Major Michno, that you're still writing a significant number of tickets for drivers who are going 90 or 100 miles an hour or in excess of those speeds. I had hoped that with more congestion, unfortunately, returning as people head back to work, that would curb speeding to some extent. Is that something that you are seeing, Major? And I'll put that to the administrator as well.
Oh, absolutely. And that was one of the problems. You know, I drive in an unmarked vehicle, and I'm still stopping vehicles all the time for speeding and driving dangerously. And that's why down here in D-Troop, I formed that 4-man team, 4-person team to go out there and do traffic enforcement to slow people down. Because back in the day when I was growing up, I remember that they had the old 55 team out there, and they had numerous cars stopped at the same time. So I want the public to know we're out there enforcing during, I know we're still in the pandemic, but I want them to know we're still out there forcing the speed limits and making sure that people slow down out there.
Well, thank you for that. And Administrator, I don't know if you want to address that question as well. Are you seeing any decline in speeding overall?
No, unfortunately, we're still seeing quite a bit of it. And we see it both in the reports that the Major was just mentioning, as well as getting it directly from our staff who are out there working the roads. You know, they see it every day as well. And it's unfortunate. I think one of the side effects of the traffic shifting and having slightly different times that people are traveling is that even though your volumes are similar to what they were pre-pandemic, the travel times are a little bit different. And we had hoped as well that speeds would reduce as congestion increased, but people are speeding at different times of the day now. Sometimes it's a midday trip, sometimes it's a late afternoon, early evening, but we are definitely seeing that there's still quite a bit of speeding and distracted driving. It's an unfortunate trend that we'd really love to see reversed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Administrator. We do have a press question, and the question is, the fine for violating the law is up to $100. Is there any talk about increasing the fine or other further actions for enforcement? So I don't know, Jeff Larsen, if you want to take that question, or Jamie Tesler.
Well, I'll punt that one if I could. I actually I'm not familiar with any movement to try to increase the fine. I know there's some challenges with doing that in enforcement, so I'm not familiar with any activity on that front.
I think I appreciate the question. I think what we'd say, and that's why we shared the data earlier, is this went into force a little over a year ago. We all know that last year was a very disruptive year on our roads, and the patterns have been really changed. And this winter and spring, and now through the summer and early fall, there's been a lot of work to increase the enforcement of distracted driving and seeing the ticketing come. But I think at this point, I still think we're in the early stages, and I think it's important for us to implement these laws, study the data, and we'll come back to those discussions at another point.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Any other questions from members of the press here today? Okay, so hearing none, I will say a big thank you to our members of the media who joined us this morning to help us spread this important message. Thank you to our public officials who were with us today to speak. We so much appreciate your dedication to this issue, and we hope you'll all continue spreading the message of slow down, move over. Help protect those who protect us at the roadside. Have a great day, everyone, and stay safe. For AAA Northeast, I'm Mary McGuire. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks so much.